And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of OA News Overtime. I'm Jordan Hill with Justin Lee.
Jordan,
Justin,
we're back.
Back and better than ever.
Jordan, I have a dilemma.
Well, let's share it with the audience.
Okay.
What's going on?
I would never ruin a steak with steak sauce, right? But sometimes I kind of miss A1.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know what to do about it. A1 tastes good, but I would never put A1 on a perfectly good steak, right?
Right.
What am I going to do about that?
What are we going to do about that?
Should I make like a burger or something? I don't know.
Yeah, a burger would be good with that.
I went to Big Mike's for the first time. Have you been there?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, we went over the weekend, and then I had like leftover. So then like last night I made steak and eggs.
Oh, that was
like, it was better. That was better than eating it at the restaurant.
And I mean,
well, yeah.
And I'll be honest,
Huevos rancheros.
I had no idea where this conversation was going. I didn't know if you were going to segue some way with A1. I was like, are we making like a newspaper joke?
Yeah,
right
A1
here?
to the news. No.
But now you can look at that.
I'm just, you know.
You're perplexed.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I get it. I mean,
it's like, hey, man, A1 tastes good.
I mean, I like it on a steak.
Oh.
Call me crazy.
I mean, you wouldn't put it on like a really good one.
Yeah, but I can't afford like a really good steak.
That's what I should do. I should just buy like a cheap steak.
Just make your own, get one from Kroger or something and grill it up and put a little A1 on it.
Yeah.
But I think it's good on a burger too.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good.
Troubles, man.
It's tough, but we'll figure them out. Through the course of this episode, by the end of this episode, we'll have an answer for you.
That's what I'll do. Tougher than a $2 steak. That's what they say.
That's what this defense is going to look like when we get our hands on it.
That's what it's like finding something to talk about, Jordan.
Yeah, but actually, there's a few different things still going on this summer. We've had some scheduling announcements since the last time we recorded.
Oh, God.
Also got the Olympics stuff going on, and I'll throw that to you in a little bit. But let's start, Justin.
Let's start with 2030.
Auburn football is getting ready to play. I don't know about getting ready to play. Well, one day.
Some middle schoolers in the area.
Your local YMCA athletes are going to be playing. Auburn's going to play Miami, the Miami Hurricanes, in 2029 and 2030. If I'm remembering correctly, it's the first meeting in Miami, and then the second one's in Jordan-Hare. I'd have to.
Yeah, they're all like that, which is weird. Which I thought was interesting because I didn't notice that until now. But I looked at it, and like Penn State, Baylor, all of them go there first, and then the revenge match is in Jordan-Hare.
Gotcha. So 2029, 2030. Part of what I feel like is a pretty good string of non-conference games, and you mentioned a few of those right there, Justin.
Yeah, UCLA.
Yep, Penn State, UCLA, California.
Yeah.
Mighty South Alabama. Okay, that's
hey, man.
A little. The Jaguars aren't bad.
They broke the streak though because they were all Bears.
That's true.
Except Penn State.
Yeah.
Bruins, and Bears and other
bad
Bears,
teams,
Golden Bears.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The Pac-12, oh my.
But, looking at this, I feel like the thing I've really recognized, the last few years especially, you've seen more and more teams understand the value of these kind of games, that especially in this playoff era and especially by the time, we still don't know when the playoff is going to expand, just that, the ball's rolling toward expansion.
That's true.
That it's more and more valuable to play really good teams throughout your schedule, conference and non-conference. And obviously, we can't look that far ahead and tell you if Miami's going to be good, but you're getting what's still considered a pretty marquee program and scheduling them and hoping that by the time this game comes around, it'll be considered a marquee game.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty fun. I don't know. I can't. It's so ridiculous. They schedule these games in these Star Trek years. I still think, like, Troy and South Alabama should just come out and be like, hey, in 2200, we're playing on the moon. Like, it's happening. This is the day.
Elon Musk is flipping the coin.
We're going to be the first schools to play on the moon. Deal with it. Just announce it. I mean, you got Oklahoma's out here announcing games in 2038.
Can we call that like the Huntsville Bowl? We can make like the Huntsville tie-in.
Yeah. To the moon, baby.
Yeah.
Just announce it. That's all I'm saying. Like, yeah, we're gonna play on a satellite.
I mean, but what's going to be the,
how is that different from Oklahoma playing Alabama in 2038? That year's not real.
Yeah, I agree. No, I think that's the strategy. I think you made a very good pitch for you to be the next SID or maybe the communications director up there. I mean, 100 years from now.
There'll be a totally different Earth population.
Why not? What's the downside? It is. I will say I'm a little disappointed, even though it makes sense. I kind of hoped one of the things we would get out of last year's COVID year was that a lot of these schools would kind of take a step back and say, you know what, we realize that if we can schedule games within
yeah.
4 days of them being played, maybe we don't have to schedule
For
these
real.
games
Oh,
a decade out.
and the playoff too. Talking about, we can't do the playoff until 2026. It's like, dude, we just had this year where we cut all the red tape. We showed that there's absolutely nothing holding you back besides bureaucratic.
To
Nothing.
quote the great philosopher Kevin Garnett, anything is possible.
Anything is possible. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, it's that was so dumb, and like I think I saw a Greg Sankey quote. It was like, well, in 2014 we made plans that would guide us for the next 12 years. It's like, what about last year? You didn't follow any of the plans last year. I don't know, man. Like I feel like they proved you can just do whatever you want, and all of it's made up. So why don't you just go ahead and make the playoff now? Why don't you go ahead and just play?
Just follow the whose line is it anyway formula of the points don't matter.
Yeah.
And then nothing matters. You just do whatever you want.
I still want. Did you know in the UK version where they came from, the points actually did matter?
Really?
Did you know that?
I did not. I still don't believe it.
It's bizarre.
I refuse to believe it.
It's bizarre. You watch it and like their little Drew Carey person literally gives them like 10 points, 9 points.
Yeah.
And then they brought it here, and Drew Carey's like, no.
We don't care about math. This is the States. We don't care about math.
You can. It's weird.
Shout out. I'm going to go home and watch Who's Line now.
You can look it up. Shout out to Colin and the boys.
Yes, Ryan Stiles for Till I Die, man. Ryan Stiles. Two things I want to talk about with scheduling, and then we'll mercifully move on.
Sure.
With the games we've kind of just talked about, is there one that excites you, a matchup that excites you more than the other?
I'm just kidding. What?
For me, it's the one that's coming up the first. The first one is Penn State.
Sure, Penn State will be fun.
I think the fact that they haven't played a Big Ten team outside of a bowl game since, I'd have to look at the story I did. I mean, it was like the 30s. It's been forever since they played a regular season game.
Sure.
It's so rare that they even travel to the Northeast to play anybody.
Sure.
I think it's going to be exciting, and I think even though Penn State's coming off a 4-5 year, that they're still going to be, a part of the cream of the crop, if I can talk, in the Big Ten. I think it'll be a really fun game, and I think the next 2 years should make for some pretty fun games. But, I mean, I'm even excited about that UCLA game. I think that'll be exciting to go out there.
Yeah. Back in the day, there was a rumor that Auburn was scheduling UCLA, I want to say 7 years ago, and then it ended up just being Clemson again.
Yeah.
That everyone hated it. But, yeah, so that UCLA game has been kind of a long time in the making. Like, a lot of people have been – it's kind of been talked about, and probably ever since that USC series in 02, 03. Yeah. So, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, the trip to the Rose Bowl, that'd be pretty cool.
Yes.
Baylor's kind of okay.
Yeah.
That's probably the other one. But, I mean, Miami, that's cool. That's really cool. So, yeah, no, that'll be fun.
There's some good ones.
Wasn't it Miami they played in that 1983 season?
Yeah, when they played in New Jersey and the kickoff.
They played in the Giant Stadium or something,
yep.
And that game kept them from being national champions. What a shame.
Yep.
There you go. Yep. No, it was Texas. Never mind.
Oh, okay.
So maybe in 84 they played.
I think they might have.
We'll see.
I know they played them, and
I'm
it was
just making it up.
You know. Is there even a New York Giants team? What are you talking about? Nobody can prove that.
Yeah, the next year they played them and lost also.
Gotcha.
Same place.
Gotcha.
So that's why I thought that.
That's why we had the mix up.
Yeah. Bo Jackson definitely played Miami is what I'm getting at.
That's what I'm trying to say here, folks.
Yeah.
So the second part of these questions that I had, and we're going to kind of hit on this in a story at some point this week, is when you look at these games that are lined up, who is maybe one or two non-conference teams you would like to see Auburn add to the schedule over the next few years?
They never played Notre Dame, have they?
Not to my knowledge.
There's only a few teams that they haven't played yet. Gosh, if we were prepared, if this was a good podcast,
I mean, I've got my answers. So.
I'd have that list of who Auburn hasn't played.
Yeah.
There's a list of teams that Auburn hasn't played. Well, man, I'm just saying, host the State of Alabama Championship, have the round robin, just play everybody you can. I mean, got to get North Alabama on the schedule. Haven't played North Alabama yet. So what? There's however many FCS teams in Alabama and Auburn's played. All of them, except now North Alabama because they stepped up. So yeah, get them on there. Get Tuskegee on the schedule. That's what I say. That's my answer.
That's your answer. My options, I immediately went to Georgia Tech, being a Georgia native and knowing what that rivalry kind of used to be, and then it came back. There was a couple games in the early 2000s. I'd like to see that again. I also kind of threw out Oregon, even though they just played a few years ago, but I like the idea of kind of keeping that game every few years since it's got a little bit of weight to it because of that national championship game. But ultimately, the answer I had was Texas.
Hey,
I want to see
man.
Auburn and Texas play. I think that would be a good matchup, and you hit on one of the meetings just a second ago when we were talking about Miami. But I think that would still, even though Texas has kind of been down compared to typical years, I still think that would give you, some good attention, and it could wind up even being a game that winds up like that Oregon game being played in AT&T Stadium there in Arlington. So I think that could give you a lot of attention and could probably help, depending on what year this is played, 2051 or whatever. But, the push right now with the current coaching staff is about recruiting nationally, and I feel like that if you played that game and set it up right, it could really help you get a lot of attention.
Here's the list. This is from Reddit, so whatever. Take it
with a grain of salt.
Yeah. So this was okay. So this is why it circulated, because they had never played Minnesota. So the Minnesota game kind of took some stuff. Okay. So there's a lot of Group of 5 teams, but here's the Power 5 teams. Pitt,
Okay, I could see I think I'd be interested in a Pitt game.
Illinois, Iowa. That's kind of wild.
Iowa seems like a Capital One bowl we forgot about.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
It's just lost to
You're
time.
like they played in 2000. You don't remember that? And I'm like,
Rudy Johnson had 173 yards.
Exactly.
No, we don't remember it.
Nope.
We never won. Iowa.
We made it up. Total fabrication.
Total fiction. We made it up. Iowa State, which is kind of weird, and Oklahoma State, who are both kind of the Auburns of their area.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Isn't that interesting? Stanford, they're too smart.
Yeah.
Utah.
Let's do that. Let's do the Pat Dye Bowl.
Have they played?
Or I guess
Okay,
Utah. He didn't coach at Utah. There was a rumor that he was going to go to Utah at one point.
They have not played Utah or BYU
Okay.
or Arizona State.
Okay.
And, of course, Notre Dame is the big one.
Mm.
Have never played Notre Dame.
I like the Notre Dame one. And then that's like...
They played Utah State. That didn't end very well.
Yeah.
It almost didn't end very well.
It was a very harrowing experience.
Dude, that team was stacked, though. They had Turbin and the other one, Wagner. They had Bobby Wagner and Robert Turbin. They're like both still in the NFL.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And I'm just going to guess Chucky Keaton was the quarterback because Chucky Keaton was there for roughly 11 and a half years.
He was, dude. So. The game was crazy. The game was wild.
So yeah, there's some good options still out there on the table, and we'll keep an eye and see if that winds up. Some of these teams wind up on the schedule for years to come.
Here's my answer: Troy University.
Do
Cowards.
Do it.
Okay.
More scheduling news, but news that actually Justin and I will be around to see come to pass.
Yeah, we won't be
in
in the ground just yet.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not for those other ones. It's really not that long. Auburn men's
It's pretty
basketball.
long. Yeah. All right, yeah.
They will be playing Oklahoma
Dun, 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 dun.
in January 2022 as part of the SEC Big 12 Challenge. There's some really interesting games. I think really the Auburn-Oklahoma game is one of them. But you got Baylor and Alabama, Texas and Tennessee, the Rick Barnes showdown there,
Lord have
Kansas,
mercy.
Kentucky. But I'm really excited to see what that Oklahoma-Auburn matchup winds up looking like. It'll be a good test, kind of a little bit, I guess I'd probably be around halfway into the season. I think that'd be a good test, and this is an Oklahoma team that's going to have a new coach. They got Loyola's coach. Lon Kruger wound up retiring, and after they made a run to the round of 32, so it'll be a good opponent. And the fact it's going to be an Auburn Arena, and the fact that probably by then it'll be a full Auburn Arena, I'm excited to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I feel like typically you play like a couple conference games and then you jump back out
Yep.
for the challenge. So I think it's in January or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's like January 22nd.
Have they not done Kansas, Kentucky yet?
I feel like they probably have, but
That's like the whole reason for this.
yeah, it's like UKKU, and then you're like, well, we got
the
these
rest
other
of the
teams.
the rest of these are an excuse to play that game. Why aren't they playing every year anyway? Yeah, all right, that'll be good.
I'm excited. I mean, I think
The
that'll
ghost
be
of Blake Griffin in the house.
true. And
Are they any good now? I don't know.
I mean, they were 16-11 this past year,
Okay.
and I think you kind of take it with a grain of salt as far as COVID. You know what I mean? I don't know
Yeah,
how much
last
weight
year.
to put into it, but Oklahoma's been good. And like I said, there's a changeover, and they've got a coach that, I mean, Loyola was, a really big Cinderella story the last few years. No confirmation that Sister Jean will be in attendance. I think she'll be back in Chicago,
Probably.
but yeah, I think it can make for a good game, and again, it'll be a good test against a totally revamped Auburn roster.
Trey Young played there.
He did.
Yeah.
He led. I think he led the nation in points and rebounds, or not points and assists, I should say.
How about that?
And then went to Atlanta, and haven't heard from him since.
Look at it.
Nothing's happened.
Look at him now.
Not a single thing has happened. So yeah, I think that's a good.
Oh, that's tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, that is another good game on the slate for Auburn. And I think that wraps up our scheduling news for the week, thankfully.
Awesome.
Hopefully there will be less of that.
Maybe
we can talk about games before too long.
Maybe we can talk about stuff that's happening in our lifetime.
Yes, and I'm going to throw it to you, our intrepid Olympics reporter.
Oh, no.
Did got on a call this morning and get ready to write about Suni Lee, the person that's got a lot of success, a lot of energy around Auburn gymnastics, with her future as a part of the program. She's getting ready for Olympic trials, and you had a chance to kind of catch up.
So the trials are this weekend, Friday and Sunday. We looked it up, right? Okay.
That sounds right. I know the first day was Friday for sure.
Yeah, it's this weekend. Yeah, so it'll be Friday, Sunday then. Yeah. So yeah, they'll compete 2 days, and the best scores of those 2 days, will be the result of the meet. The results of the meet, the top 2 gymnasts will get an automatic berth on the gymnastics team, and this is the gymnastics team, like the Fierce Five, the team. So the top 2 finishers will get that. Suni will be shooting for that. Suni got top 2 at the U.S. Championships meet a few weeks ago, which is just kind of a warm-up meet, but also a resume builder. And you say resume builder because whoever doesn't get top two get the automatic spot. Whoever doesn't get top 2, the rest of the team is filled out by a committee based on some things like the U.S. Championship and all these other meets, right? So Suni's trying to get top 2 just because you don't want to leave it into any committee's hands, and she got top 2 last time. So, obviously last time there were 5 medals awarded. 4 of them went to Simone Biles, and the only other one to win a medal was Suni. So she was there, 1-2 right behind Simone. So she wants to finish like that again, and if she does that, she's in. She's going to Tokyo. It's real. It's happening. It's official. And if she doesn't get top 2, someone else gets those bids, it's going to go to the committee to decide to kind of fill out the team. I think the feeling is that the committee feels pretty good about her because she's the best in the world on bars. And if you want to win a gold medal on bars at the Olympics, you need Suni Lee on your team. But why leave it up to chance? You finish top 2 at the U.S. Championship, just finish in the top 2 again, so nobody can say anything, and you're in there. So that's her goal. So that's what she's going to be doing. I'm pretty sure it's all on NBC. It always is. So, but yeah, that's the U.S. trials. It should be exciting. Should be a fun time. That's a big deal. Like this is the last stop before the Olympics. I don't think the gravity has really hit Auburn people that this girl's going to possibly going to the Olympics. She's going to be in Auburn Arena in a few months.
Buy your tickets while you can.
Yeah,
Let's do the promo for
it. Yeah, exactly.
The thing that I was really struck by when we were talking about this before we started recording, tell us about the FAQ we were looking at when it was talking about the different athletes, and it mentioned Simone Biles by name, and then it was like, who else? But then when it went to who else, Suni was like the first name after Simone.
Yeah. It's like Simone.
One of the FAQs was like, is Simone Biles going to be there?
Yeah.
And I was like, yes.
Yes, Simone Biles will be there. Watch it. It was like an NBC thing. It was like where to watch the Olympics or the U.S. trials. Will Simone Biles be there? Yes.
But also,
who else will be there? Sunisa.
She was one of the first names mentioned, so that seems like a good sign. At least that
for sure.
People are paying attention to her, and obviously
this is WAPO. It was written by Emily.
Like Emily Giambalvo. She doesn't know it, but she's a friend of the podcast by proxy. So
how can I watch the gymnastics trials? There's all these questions. How is the team selected? Will Simone Biles compete? Yes. Who are the athletes to watch? Simone Biles. Behind Biles, Sunisa Lee and Jordan Giles have emerged as serious contenders. So there you go.
So I mean,
Hey, man.
she's got eyes on her, and we'll be watching, and I'm sure that you or I will have stories coming out of how she does as she tries to get ready to go to Tokyo.
Emily knows what she's talking about.
Oh, Emily's the best,
She,
bar none.
Yeah. She may be one of those. She's really good at digesting this stuff,
Oh, yeah.
for the rest of us. But yeah, I was just thinking about that. She went on a tweet thing recently about how just brutal the gym internet can be, the gym internet. So, yeah, it's tough for those of us who aren't experts.
Yeah.
But,
I worked with Emily at the Red and Black, and I was just totally lost on gym. We just let her run it because we knew she knew what she was doing.
But even she gets like criticized because these super diehard fans are like, that wasn't a and you're like, what?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, and Emily compete. I mean, like she grew up.
Yeah, she put that on. She was like, I've done tumbles, and I'm
Yes.
scared to write about tumbles
Yeah.
because like I don't know if this is a triple pike, sow cow, double junker, or
Yeah.
whatever. And you're like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, it's just I'm sure it's like most. Of the
All these
internet.
moves are named after these Russian gymnasts from the 80s. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know,
It's
man.
beyond me, but we'll keep you covered on that.
Well,
There's no doubt about that.
What we went to school for was to learn how to digest that stuff and ask the right questions, even when you don't know what the heck you're looking at.
Exactly.
So, hey, score go up, good? Question?
Yeah. Good. Team won. Good? Question mark.
Thoughts?
I never covered a single gymnastics meet, and it is very exciting to watch. But I would be very, very nervous to have to write about it because I mean it's intense, and I'll have to go with you, tag along at some point, and so I can learn
It's a
the
fun
ins
time,
and out.
man. I'm glad I'm not out in Tokyo, though. That'd be tough.
Oh yeah, for sure. So other stuff going on. I think that's kind of the biggest thing. I'll be excited. We're recording on Wednesday. On Thursday, I'm going out to Auburn University's intramural fields. There will be a 7-on-7 with some of our local teams. So
Hey, now.
that'll kind of be getting a taste of the start of the season. I know Auburn High is going to be out there. I know the Lochapoka Indians are going to be out there.
Hey,
and
now.
I'm sure there will probably be a few other teams. So that'll be exciting. We got all area wrapped up last week, so that was a chance to kind of exhale. We'll continue with the tomorrow's Tigers. That'll be a story this week I'll write on Demetrius Davis, so that'll be good to kind of show one of the quarterbacks could be, a quarterback of the future for Auburn, so we'll get some insight on him. Justin, any other things on your radar or things that are to kind of keep an eye out for in the next few days?
No, hey man, we're gearing up for football all of a
That's
sudden.
right.
So
Hey, we do need to plug that we need to do the Alabama All-State NCAA playoff brackets. What we should do, we're gonna get some of the people together on Saturday. Maybe that's what we do. We make even teams and everybody.
Hey man,
gets Alabama and UAB and Troy and Auburn and see who can win.
it'll be a good time.
It'll be a fun time, no doubt.
We'll see.
Get ready to wrap up this episode. You talked about Trey Young earlier in the Hawks. I was thinking about that. I wouldn't really call myself like a diehard Hawks fan. I've kind of kept up with them on and off. Kind of lost track of them when they started the season slow and they fired Lloyd Pierce. And then really started watching them on this playoff run, and obviously
They fired their coach this year?
Yeah, Lloyd Pierce got fired, and
How bad do you feel?
Nate McMillan was an assistant, and they're like, all right, you can run the show. I think they were like 14-27. They were bad. And now they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals.
How bad would you feel if you're Lloyd Pierce?
I mean, the thing that was funny to me is Lloyd's name has been brought up, and I thought he was, a pretty good coach, but it obviously wasn't working. The Celtics have mentioned him as like a candidate.
NBA coaching is weird. Like
really
you just get
is.
1,000 second chances.
Yeah.
And they just hire weird. It's almost
Jason
like
Kidd's been a coach at like 3 different places now.
for no reason.
Yeah. But
Steve Nash a coach?
Yeah, he's coaching the
like-
Nets.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, well, and also Nate McMillan, I think this is like his 3rd time as a coach. But it's been fun to follow this playoff run, and obviously it culminated in that Game 7 with the 76ers. So I was going to ask you, Justin, are there playoff runs or playoff moments that come to mind for you as a fan that stick out in your memory of any of the teams you like, or even just things you've gotten to watch, some big moments over the years?
Yeah, as a fan, it's tough. I mean, dude, that NCAA run in Nashville.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, SEC tournament run in Nashville, because everyone talks about going to the Final Four. That was awesome, but like that SEC tournament was a blast. Like that was crazy because it was still early on. There was no other team, like not just Auburn, but no team there had a ton to lose because a lot of them were still going to go to the tournament anyway, right? So it was just fun. It was just the SEC tournament. It was just a lot of good teams there to play and play well, and that was crazy. And the thing about it is, I mean, no one gets to do that because they were the 5 seed, so they played the extra game. So we got to be there for 4 straight days, 4 straight games. Which is crazy because they had the extra round they had to do. That was so much fun. I mean, you could cover college basketball for so long and never get to do that. I mean, I looked at you look at like how oftentimes Duke goes to the Final Four, and it's like not that often, honestly, because the NCAA tournament is such a crapshoot. You can cover Duke for like 10 years and still not go to the Final Four. How insane is that? So that's something I'm going to be old and about to die. I'll be 100 years old and I'll be thinking about.
By the time the Texas and Auburn game we talked about is going to be on the schedule.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be remembering that run because I mean that's just how rare that was and special that was. That was crazy. It was crazy to watch in person.
For me, this one as a fan ended rather poorly.
Okay.
But the Falcons, the year they went to the Super Bowl and played the Patriots in 2083, But the lead up to that, and specifically the Green Bay game, because the playoffs a few years before that, Green Bay had gotten the upper hand. There was one game where they ran them out of the stadium by halftime. Like it was so bad, and the Falcons just tore them apart. I remember Julio Jones, who is gone but not forgotten. He's not dead. He's just a Tennessee Titan
He's
now.
just gone.
I remember he had a big play, and the internet went wild, and it was like I remember being in Columbus, and I think the place was Mr. Wing with a few of my friends, and it just kind of hit all of us because we've all grown up Falcons fans, and for the majority of my life, the Falcons have been terrible. They've not been good. They'd had a few good years, but they still really weren't Super Bowl contenders. And we kind of looked at each other, was like, oh my God, the Falcons are going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And to me, it's almost like when you're going into any season as a fan, like the start right before the season starts is like the most exciting time because you have hope. Mm-hmm. Like you don't know how it's going to play out, but you're like,
oh, sure.
We're going.
Yeah.
We're going to the Super Bowl. And obviously it ended as poorly as it could have possibly ended, but that was just so much fun, especially to have some of my friends there. We kind of, shared the moment and was excited and ready to see now if this Hawks team can keep it going. I mean, the fact they've gotten this far is, a miracle, and Nate McMillan should have been named Coach of the Year. The fact he wasn't was just a disgrace, but I'm excited to see what they can do, and they're going to get it started, and I'll be watching. And like I said, I definitely would consider myself a bandwagoner. I have not followed this team the whole way, but it's definitely been fun to follow them now.
It's the best to be a fake fan.
Oh, yeah. But it's also like with our jobs, we can't, especially in NBA season, you kind of come in and out even if you are a big fan, at least in my experience.
Yeah,
so this is definitely the perfect time to jump on.
Yeah, there you go. I don't think I've ever been to a playoff anything.
Playoff game.
I should check that off the list.
I think the only playoff game I've ever been to was a Braves game in 12 or 13, and Clayton Kershaw pitched for the Dodgers and just shut down the Braves. So
that'll happen.
Yeah, it was not a very good playoff experience, but other than that, yeah.
There you go.
So, well, I think that
I want to look at Suni. Look at this. This is my thing about this. My favorite part of her bar routine is when she goes over. Look at that, right? Like.
I would be in the hospital for the rest of my life.
But my thing is when she goes over and it's like a chess piece, like just a vertical. She's above the thing. She's all the way up there. I don't know what you call that. Maybe I'll figure that out this weekend.
Yeah, maybe you can ask her what she calls that.
Just scrolling on the timeline and seeing that, it's crazy, man.
Well, we're gonna look through Twitter and wrap up this episode. Again, appreciate you guys watching and listening, and we'll be back next week. For Justin Lee, I'm Jordan Hill, and until next time, take care.